Hello, welcome everyone to this new episode of Far From Home, a talk with a friend abroad. Our guest and friend this week is Silvia Bottini. Silvia, we were together, we were in high school and kind of secondary school in Italy. And so it's a long friendship or a long, we know each other for like long time. And I'm really happy to have her here. She's now like living in the US and she has a really interesting story. And I think we will also explore, let's say, a sector that was also affected by the COVID. And I'm really interested also to like learn what was for you and what you think. So the first question is actually, now you are in the US. If you can tell us about your story, how you ended up there and what you're doing there, kind of what you can share with us.
So, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here to talk with you. It's been a long time, so I'm very happy to be here. What brought me in the US was basically my boyfriend, because I've been working as an actress for about 20 years. 15 in Italy, and I've been working consistently in theater. Since one day, suddenly all of the work was out, was gone, so I wasn't able to find anything. So I moved to Milan. I'm originally from a little town in Italy, Varese, but I was working in Genoa at that time. So at that point, I met my boyfriend. He told me that he would have had this job opportunity to move to the US. We started dating, and that actually was in my mind because I attended a workshop a few years before at the Strasberg Institute, the actor studios. I loved it. And so as an actress, of course, I've always had the dream to win an Oscar, to be in Hollywood. And after, I believe, 1 year, he moved to the US. And after a while, we had a distant relationship. He asked me if I wanted to join, and so I did. It's been really tough, especially because of the language, because being an actor, I really need to use my language. And at the very beginning, it was really challenging. I wasn't even able to audition. I wasn't even able to understand what a director would say. But a part of that, I was living my dream. So it was good.
Yes. And how was, if you can explain a little bit more, because there is also this idea that also like the language is enough, but there was also about something about like the culture, a different idea of like being an actor, doing theater, doing like acting.
Yes. So to be honest, there were many challenges. The first one was economical, because suddenly, sorry, I have a cat who's jumping on the table. Sorry about that. I couldn't afford much because I spent all of my saving to give the deposit for the apartment, for buying flight tickets, for buying the visa, for furniture, whatever. So I didn't have a car, and Los Angeles is huge. It doesn't have the best public transportations in the world. So I was biking a lot. I was very fit. I was exhausted. That was definitely a challenge. Another challenge was cultural, for sure, because people were very polite, very nice at first, but not really deep, and not really open to create deep relationship. Or that was definitely a challenge. Another challenge was the food. Italians are food obsessed. Yes. And we really love to eat well. Americans don't. They just have the culture of fast food. So you basically need to be as fast as possible while eating. And they don't really care about what they're eating. So I couldn't even find ingredients. Mm-hmm. It's been a bit of a shock. Also, another funny thing is that I wasn't able to understand where to buy tools. Like, I needed a blender, And I had no clue about where to go to find it, and I happened to find it at the pharmacy. I mean, not in the like at the grocery market. I mean, in Italy, you go to the grocery and you find everything. In America, no, you really need to be specific about where to go. And the pharmacies have tons of tools like blenders, like scales, like cooking tools. I didn't know at that point, so it was a challenge. And all of our friends were Italian. They kind of moved at the same time where we did, so they didn't know either. So I remember asking questions. I was attending an English class and I was like all the time, where can I buy a blender? Where can I find a lead? Where can I find... So very stupid questions. The teachers looked at me like, what's wrong with her? What do you mean? A lead? It was really weird. And of course, it's really, really shocking in a cultural way to be in the US, because there's a lot of people from all over the world. But also, for example, I'm in the movie business, in the film industry. If you go to the movie theater, you can find, not easily at least, an European movie or a movie from Asia, or it's just Hollywood. It's about Hollywood. So even if it's a multicultural place, it's also auto-referential in a kind of way. And that was weird.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's also something that we are seeing now, because it's not only the movement like Black Lives Matter, but is much more. It's also this idea of like being auto-referential, or which kind of like images, or the society, like picturing the society itself, and that's interesting.
Yeah, about the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that happened, about the homicide of that black guy. People from Italy, I got it from Facebook, from talking with friends or people who weren't here. They can't really understand what's going on. They believe it's like it's like an idea, but here really there's a racial issues still. It's unbelievable, but there's something going on, and it's really deep. It's really eradicated in the society. People are suffering because they're discriminated in many ways. For example, there's no public health care for everybody. You need to pay for your health. That's another cultural shocking thing. I'm Italian. I'm very lucky. Whenever I need to go to the hospital, I can just go. If I need anything, if I'm on an emergency, I'm sure I'm going to have assistance. Here, it's not like that. It's really a lot about money. So if you don't earn enough, you're already discriminated in a way. You cannot even afford to go to the hospital when you're sick. And that's an issue about poor people, about discriminated people, because everything is about what you can afford, what you can buy, to buy all the time more. If you cannot afford that, you feel different, you feel less, without mentioning facts like killing someone because of the color of his skin. But my boyfriend is a journalist and has been going to these riots. And what happened is that people were stealing from stores, which is not, if you think about it, is not directly related to the discrimination, to the Black Lives Matter. It's more something that I'm showing you, I'm going to get what I want.
Yes.
Because usually I cannot. So it's really complicated. And I don't know if people from Europe get that kind of discrimination deeply rooted into the society, the way the society is built here.
I think that is really true, because yes, it's really complex, and as you mentioned, there are like different dimensions and intersectionality of the dimensions. So there is a race thing, discrimination, there is an economic aspect, and all of this is mixed. So I'm probably there is something that as Europeans we really cannot get like totally. And we can, yeah, maybe if you have lived in the US or if you have like been there for a while, there is something that you can understand better. But otherwise, it's like it's, the complexity is something that maybe is missing in our reflection about what is happening there.
Yeah, also there's another fact that people, at least in Italy, I don't know about Malta, but reading the comments on Facebook, I realized they don't really get about the gun power here in the US, because the First Amendment, which they really, really love, is that they can have a gun, no matter your mental condition, no matter your whatever. I mean, you're allowed to have a gun, to buy a gun. So here they are armed, and police is always ready to attack, as in the task force, as in the military, which is scary. And it happens that citizens who are not armed, were not really committing any crimes, got killed by the police. So the police power is another issue in that situation, and it's culturally really different. I realized, especially driving, people can get really mad during the traffic time, and traffic here is tough. I remember after, I don't know which mass shooting, because there are so many, I realized I was scared. I was about to scream something to someone, and then I shot, and I shut up, and I thought they might have guns.
Yes.
So it's not really as free as they think, actually. Having guns, it's not freedom, in my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah, actually, I have a story on that, because we were in the US with my partner, and I was driving, and we were, I think, in Vermont, and I was driving. And yeah, I got confused between like kilometers and miles. So I was like, where the speed limit. And the police start following us. And then we stop. And Roberto, my partner, he opened the door of the car. And they came in the car. And then they came and they check on us, and they check the documents and everything. And they told us, you never have to like open the door and get out of your car, because we can get really nervous. We don't know if you have a gun or you don't have a gun. And so this is what like make us nervous. And so then we can start, or something bad can happen. And we were like, whoa, we actually understood what could have happened.
Yeah, it's scary. It's super scary. Yes. Sometimes they make you pull over, and for no reason they kind of arrest you because you do something. I mean, being a foreigner, especially being a tourist or being from somewhere else, you don't really know how to behave. I mean, I took a Californian driving license, but it's not even on the book. It's not really clear how you should behave. I mean, you should definitely stay in the car and wait for the police officer to approach. But apart from that, I mean, you're always scared to trick something that can make them suspicious or...
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Good. Yeah, interesting. Okay. So moving on, like COVID came, and you finally got back in the US, and COVID came. How was for you, like personally, professionally, like challenges, being far from home but be like close to part of your family there?
So considering that I spent like 4 months in Italy before coming back to the US, because I was in the process of renewing my visa, I was lucky, and I'm very grateful for have been living the lockdown here in the US instead of in Italy. Because first of all, because my family, I mean, my boyfriend, my cats, my house, my belongings are here. I still have a part of family and friends in Italy. Immigrants are never from one place or another, they're in between. But still, I was very appreciative by the fact that I was here, especially because the lockdown in the US, at least in Los Angeles, wasn't as tough as in Italy. We could get out of our places whenever we wanted. We could go to the grocery stores. I mean, we had to wear masks to be cautious about everything. but I could walk. I mean, I can't imagine people in Italy who couldn't get out of their apartment. It would have made me crazy, which already this light lockdown made me a little bit off. I had a lot of nightmares. I It's really tough. We're living in one bedroom. My boyfriend and I, and he's working from home. I lost all of my jobs, so that was tough. I'm basically living on my savings right now. Money wise, it's been a very huge challenge. I lost my grandma because of COVID-19, so it's been very effective. But also, um, I'm enjoying the time I have for myself. I'm concerned, so it's tough to fully use this time that you've been given, because there's a lot of concern. There's a lot going on in my mind now. Cases in Los Angeles are increasing, so probably we're gonna go back to a strict lockdown. I mean, hopefully they need to do something. I don't know. Mr. President doesn't believe it's a fact, but it is. And so there's a lot of thoughts that like stop me from being as creative as I wanted, because I had the chance actually to develop some projects through the web. Actually, one is already finished, but about the other, I was about to start a new job. It was a show for kids, and it's on hold because it's a live performance. So unless I find the crew and the money to shoot it, and I don't even know how it could be done, it's there. So I don't really know how to move. I've been cooking a lot though. I got my sourdough starters, so I'm making bread, focaccia, a lot of things like that. I'm gardening. I rescued a kitten, so I'm walking a lot. And now in a position that I'm kind of scared to go back to work.
Yes, I know.
I'm kind of settled,
Yes.
this COVID-19 situation.
Yes, I think also in this case, as you mentioned, like as expats, as migrants, we are always in between. But also with COVID, we are kind of in between because we have more time. We can like enjoy being at home or doing something like with ourselves, a new routine. But at the same time, we are concerned. And I think for me and you was the same. Before, we were super concerned also about what was happening in Italy because it was actually in Lombardy. And then I started being concerned about what was happening here when COVID came here. And then also in my case, I was doing like training and some training were canceled because we cannot gather anymore. So yeah, I developed something and I kept myself busy doing other thing, but at the same time, is not with like as it was before, and also like is a challenge economic from like in terms of like money and an economic point of view is challenging between our relationship, like family and friends, and so yes, I think we are also in between, like emotionally now.
Yeah, definitely. Because we can make any project. We can, yeah.
Yeah, there is uncertainty.
Our life is on hold.
Exactly. And so the last question is about the resources. You already mentioned something. And I think I know is not easy, especially in the cultural sector, also here in Malta. And before I just read something about like Cirque du Soleil, that was also like really, really like affected by COVID, and they were one of like the biggest. They were doing like big events and but I'm also seeing like this new creative phase of try to do something like differently, try to do something online. I saw like photographer doing like online shooting or something like this. So I don't know if there is like any hope or something that you are like considering, or you have already done something online? It's not the same that performing like in a theater or like with real people or not virtual people, but
Well, that's definitely a fact that, for example, the industry already told us that everything's going to change in terms of auditions. So luckily, I'm not. I don't work in theater as I used to. So I'm less a live performer than I used to be, and the film industry is getting ready to survive to the crisis. One thing is gonna change forever, which is gonna be, as I said, the auditions. So now they're gonna ask you to be ready to shoot at least the first session of audition from home. So I've been studying a lot about how to do that, and I've been buying a lot of tools because you need lights, you need backdrops, you need tripods, you need remotes, and you need to be focused because you're working as an actor, and you also need to take care at the same time of the technical stuff. That's definitely something challenging, but also it's going to be nice because Los Angeles has a very high rate for rentals. So that means that if I do not have to auditions 3 times per week in Los Angeles itself, I can move wherever I want.
Yeah.
Because basically they said it's going to be only callbacks, that you're going to be physically moving in the room. So I don't know, that's going to change everything. I'm still thinking about what I could do. I've been doing a lot of voiceover auditions, and also some jobs, not dubbing because it's more complicated. You need a lot of tools for doing that. But also for the voiceover, I needed microphones. I needed to, for now I'm using my closet because you need, to
yes.
Keep the sound clear. And it's challenging.
And the problem,
yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting though, because you feel more productive, more independent.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for, I mean, it might bring me to do something by myself, because actually I'm getting ready to shoot whatever I need.
Yes.
So maybe one day I'm going to be able to shoot my own movie from home.
Amazing. I'm like looking forward to it. Good. So we're almost at the end of our talk. Now there is like the message, if you want to send a message to a country, your countries, your like people.
That's a tough one. Oh, well, it's nothing genius, but I believe I would say to Italy to stop complaining and to start doing. We're so creative, we're so resourceful that we should keep going. And we should definitely do something for those politicians that we have that are making our lives miserable because we don't have as much resources as we should. And I would gladly go back home if the situation, the economy would be different. So keep going, keep the positive, and don't complain to each other. Just work together.
You can say this in Italian also, if you want. So, perché per l'Italia, quindi adesso lo traduciamo in italiano.
Va bene. Allora, italiani, discorso alla nazione.
Alla nazione, esatto.
Italiani, basta lamentarvi. Una cosa che ho imparato non so se l'ho imparata profondamente, ma il messaggio che mi arriva dagli Stati Uniti è di rimanere positivi, produttivi, costruttivi e creativi. Noi siamo estremamente creativi, abbiamo un sacco di risorse, dobbiamo imparare ad usarle invece che lamentarci di quello che non va e a lamentarci e a litigare tra di noi. Insomma, dovremmo essere più in grado di collaborare, di creare cose migliori. Dovremmo anche cercare di cambiare la situazione politica, magari scendendo in piazza come fanno i francesi, perché l'economia è terribile, capisco che l'umore sia basso, e se l'economia tornasse ad essere migliore mi piacerebbe così tanto tornare a lavorare in Italia.
Vedremo, infatti. Sarebbe bello. Grazie mille, Silvia.
Grazie a voi, grazie a te Viviana, e good luck for these amazing things you created.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was one of the results of COVID. So I'm happy that something good like came out, and then we will.
You did.
Thank you. Thank you again. Take care. Good luck with everything. And bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.